Hey, I'm Daniel, and welcome to whatever the fuck I'm going to end up calling this show. Today we're going to talk about Torchlight 2. It's a nifty little ARPG that's coming out pretty soon. Beta's almost done. It's going to be over by the end of the week, and I figured that I'd get some good gameplay footage in right now and talk about it a little bit. I guess I should start off by listing off my very prominent credentials. Well, I play a lot of video games, and I have a camera, and I got a BS in journalism. No, I don't think that helps. It's definitely not helping me get a job. Anyway, Torchlight. Torchlight 2 is, it's been pretty fun so far. The beta is pretty short. It's about, I think, what equates to Act 2, or Act 1 rather, in Diablo 2. And, well, what can I say? It's good. I played a little bit of the Diablo 3 beta, and I don't want to make this some kind of comparison video. But I will say this, Torchlight 2's beta grabbed me much faster and much more inappropriately than Diablo 3's did. And I think that's saying a lot, you know? Yeah, it did. So, what is Torchlight 2? Well, obviously it's the sequel to the first game, but I think there's a little more to it than that. A lot of the same people who made Diablo 2 back in the day worked on this game. And honestly, it shows. It's an ARPG, which is kind of a broad term. A lot of people seem to think it's synonymous with Diablo-type games, but I guess for this video, we'll use ARPG to mean Diablo clone. And yeah, Diablo clone sounds derogatory, but it's what it is. I mean, it's the same people made it, so I don't think it's really a big deal. They tried to deliver a similar experience to the second Diablo, and that's what you got. It's not as streamlined as Diablo 3 is, but I think it's a nice compromise between Diablo 2 and 3 with kind of its own thing going on. You know, it's got its little steampunk theme going on, and I'm not the biggest fan of current steampunk type stuff. I think it's a little overdone these days, but hey, you know what? Some of the stuff in the game looks pretty cool, and if it's got a steampunk inspiration, you know, some people like it, whatever. But yeah, it's pretty much anything you'd expect from a Diablo title. You got quests to do, although they are laid out a little differently than Diablo 2's. You even got your little health bubble and mana bubble. I mean, it's the same look. I mean, look at that. That's straight out of Diablo. And yes, there's a lot of potion chugging in the game. It really depends on your playstyle and class, but I mean, I'm playing a Berserker for this video, and the Berserker, well, normally wouldn't be too much of a big deal to stay alive without taking potions because there's a lot of lifesteal involved in the class, but I'm playing on Veteran in this video right now, and I gotta say, Veteran is actually really, really challenging in this game. Normal mode is still a good challenge. In fact, it's not quite as difficult as Veteran and Torchlight 1 was, I would say, and a lot of people would say Veteran and Torchlight 1 was really easy, but I think normal's a pretty good difficulty for most people, people who don't have experience in this genre, but then again, who knows, I mean, some people just pick up games and they're amazing at them, so. But Veteran is definitely, I think, a perfect difficulty for people who play this genre. It is just, you'll die, unless you're really awesome, and then you complain about how the game's not difficult enough. But you know what? There's always going to be those people, and I think that even in a group, this game can be pretty difficult on Veteran. Obviously, there are going to be some things that don't quite work out in terms of difficulty. You got the Engineer class, as far as I can tell right now in the beta, is pretty overpowered, and I could probably say the same thing about the Ember Mage. But honestly, of all the classes I've tried, which is all but the Engineer actually, the Berserker's my favorite. It's just that like clicky spammy, you know, get in their face, blow everything up, I don't give a shit type of gameplay, and I like that a lot. You can actually hold down your finger, obviously, to auto attack things in case you don't want to get a cramp. A lot of people complain about that kind of stuff in this genre, but as you can see right now, you can trade stuff with your pet, which is back from the first game, and they can actually go back to town for you, pick up items, Usually those items are really just potions and scrolls, but it's still pretty useful. They can pick it up, they can sell stuff. If you don't want to, you can, you know, spend hours away from town and still consistently make money, sell goods, and just keep going. I mean, some people like to micromanage stuff. Sometimes you want to go back to town to fish or whatever, and a lot of the fish in this game can give you some pretty good effects, you know, transforming your pet into different stuff. You can get items for your pet, some spells, that kind of stuff. It's really useful. The gameplay, it's honestly probably the best gameplay of the genre I have experienced. I didn't play a whole lot of Diablo 1, and I don't think it's really even worth mentioning in this comparison, but I'd say this is an enhanced version of Diablo 2 in terms of gameplay. As I said before, it's not as streamlined as 3, but it's a nice marriage, it's a nice compromise, and it really feels like you're doing stuff. Like, in this example, you can shatter shields. Enemies will have shields that defend them from damage and knockback and stuff like that. When you shatter them, some abilities will automatically shatter them. When you do it, you feel it. Like, you can... There's oomph to a lot of these powers, especially with the Berserker. You see that little charge bar with a little wolf head that looks like the Witcher symbol in the middle of the screen. When that fills up, you go into like a Berserker Rage mode, and that will... It's pretty devastating. I think your attack speed goes up, and every hit is a crit, which for a Berserker, depending on how you spec your character, could mean you're healing between 5 to 15% of your health on every crit, which is every attack while you're raging, so that's pretty significant. It's pretty much what you need to do when you're fighting bosses on this character on a higher difficulty. As you can see, I'm tanking 2 of these bosses at the same time and getting totally wrecked even though I'm healing every hit. But yeah, I think the difficulty is where it needs to be. Obviously there's still some bugs and balance issues in the game, but I'm confident that they'll work those out. I mean, this is a beta, and they've implied that the actual game should be getting a release date pretty soon. Well, I'm in the boat of people who, oh look, I died, yeah, this game is actually pretty difficult, I'm gonna come kick his ass. Anyway, I'm in the boat of people who kind of wish this came out earlier. I know that games these days, especially AAA games, get rushed out the door too fast, but I think the sales for this game can be hurt a little bit because it came out after Diablo 3. I remember actually reading a long time ago, it was about a year ago, after they initially bumped back the release date from July, they were saying how, you know, it might be getting delayed, but we'll probably release 2 and 3 in the MMO before Diablo 3 comes out, and I guess the reality is of developing a much bigger game than the first one kind of, you know, made that statement fall flat. Diablo 3's been out for, you know, a week and a half about. This game still doesn't have a release date. I think we can assume it's probably going to come out sometime in June or July, but, you know. Anyway, beta is looking really good so far. It's almost over, unfortunately, and I'm actually glad it only spans about what equates to Act 1, because I don't want the whole game ruined for me already, and I know I'll do that. Actually, here's a good opportunity to talk about level up system. See, you know, I'm just giving stuff to my pet or whatever. Basically, you gain experience and fame. Fame you only get from completing quests and killing bosses, but when you level up, you got two things to do. You gotta pick an ability, passive or active, and you can increase your stats. Now, fame only gives you an extra ability point, whereas gaining a level gives you an ability point and like points to spend on your attributes. I'm sorry, skill points. So here you go, you got skill points to spend. Right now I have 2 because I gained a level of fame and a level at the same time. There's a lot of them. unfortunately, the skill system is kind of it's got a lot of criticism right now, and honestly, I can sympathize with what a lot of people are saying. It does feel kind of unorganized, and as you can see in the beta, like half of them aren't even in the game. I don't know if that is because they're not done or they just don't want us to know, but the problem is when you get a lot of skill points and they rank up to 15, which is cool because that means, you know, you've got a lot of room to make your unique build for your character. I'm all for that. The problem is they scale so slowly. Like, you'll get an ability that says does 50% base damage of weapon and plus these other effects, and it might go up 2% when you get another rank in that. That's nothing. You don't even see that. You don't see a difference in your skills for, you know, 5 levels of that skill. If you pump it, if you put, like, you know, 5 skill points in a row into one skill, maybe you'll see a difference. But with a large majority of the skills, you got nothing going on, and I think that's a huge issue. Although I think at higher levels of play, when you slow down leveling, that might not be as bad. Right now in the beta, you can only respec up to level 10, and then you can no longer do that. So I don't know what the policy is going to be for that going forward. But oh yeah, and that's a nice little Silence of the Lambs reference. But anyway, this game's got some good humor in it. Story's kind of bad. We'll get back to that anyway. So the skill system, honestly, we'll just have to wait and see. It was okay in the beta, and mods will take care of respecking issues I'm sure that anybody has. By the way, yes, this game does support modding, which is definitely something it has over Diablo for a lot of people. Not everybody, but and LAN, of course. I'm gonna play the hell out of it in LAN. I love LANing. But yeah, I guess this is a good time to talk about the story. It's kind of non-existent. I don't know if anybody's played the first game, if anybody really even cared too much about the story. And oh yeah, by the way, just real quick, if you notice my charge bar bugged out at some point, and I have infinite Berserker Rage for no reason. But anyway, story. The story is just Ordrock is a bad guy who you killed in the first game, but he didn't quite die. And, well, yeah, he's an asshole and stuff is evil or whatever. I mean, that's basically all it is. It's like, oh, Cthulhu virus or something, bad old god stuff happening, save the day. It's pretty straightforward. None of the NPCs are remarkably memorable or really worth talking about at all. And, well, yeah. I mean, I guess your player characters from the first game are in there, sort of. Their names are their class for some reason. I don't know. But honestly, you know, I don't play these games for their story. The RPG in ARPG really just stands for gear and leveling. You know, RPG mechanics, not really the RPG role-playing experience. So, you know, whatever. Some people like the Diablo story. I've never cared about it. It's not a big priority for these games. And honestly, I mean, what is the point of these games? It's to jump in with a bunch of friends and kill giant monsters and get a lot of loot. I mean, that's really all it comes down to. And I think this game delivers in spades. And really, all it really needs to be good at is combat, and it's fun as shit. I mean, just being able to get in on one of these giant bosses and wail on them for, you know, watching their health bar go away and then explode in a giant fountain of loot. I mean, that's what people play these games for, and Torchlight does a good job. If that's not for you, then play a actual single-player RPG that actually delivers all that stuff, because this is definitely not that. But it's fun. And what else haven't I talked about? I haven't really commented on the enchanting system. In the beta, it seems like a lot of the extra mechanics haven't yet been implemented completely. I mean, you still have gem stuff going on where you can break down items You can get gems out of items and stuff like that. You can enchant them. But some things like transmuting gems and stuff from the first game, it looks like it might be in the game, but it's not in beta right now. I did like how that stuff worked in the first game, and hopefully they iron it out a little bit. But it's not in the beta right now, and neither is gambling, which is something that is kind of a holdover from Diablo 2. Hopefully that stuff's in there. Don't really know if it is, but as it is right now, in the beta anyway, your big money dump is enchanting, and it's totally random, and honestly, I kind of like it. Sometimes you get something really cool, sometimes you don't, sometimes you don't get anything. And it's better than the old system where you had a 1% chance of destroying the item, because that was pretty awful if it ever happened to you. I think I avoided it, thankfully. But yeah, if you're looking for an alternative to Diablo 3, whether Diablo 3 is giving you any issues or you just don't want to spend that kind of money, you don't want to deal with the DRM or whatever it is, this is definitely a really good alternative. And it's $20. If you pre-order it on Steam right now, you get the first game for free. So that's nice. You can gift it or whatever you want to do with it. There's that, and no real DRM aside from Steam type stuff, although I think there's another site you can get it off of that has no DRM at all. It's moddable, which is, I've talked about, definitely an upside for a lot of people. And yeah, I don't know if there's really all too much, there's not that much else to talk about, I guess. Play the game if you're interested. If you like Diablo 3, you'll probably like Torchlight, and you don't need to deal with a lot of the other BS that comes along with playing Diablo 3. And I may be coming off as a little, you know, harsh on Diablo 3, and it's really just that I haven't played the game outside beta, and the beta was okay at best, in my opinion, but, you know, I don't want to have to deal with the always online, you know, real auction house and with all the reports of hacking, although the hacking is probably a little, it's being blown out of proportions probably. But the fact of the matter is, if you're playing a game single player, you shouldn't ever be hacked. That doesn't even make any sense. That should not be a thing. And with the amount of control you have over a game like Torchlight, where you can mod it, you can probably get a tool that'll edit and character stuff, you know, that'll come out eventually. When you have that much control over the game, there's nobody that can come along and ruin your fun. I mean, it's your game, you can play it. And I think that's one major advantage Torchlight has. But yeah, $20 price tag. On Steam right now, I think you can buy 4 copies of the game for $60, I think is it. And that's a pretty good deal. And right now the party size in the beta is 6 people. I don't know if they're going to change that, but they did talk about the fact that you can edit the game files, and you could increase that number to an yet to be determined size, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure whatever system they use for scaling bosses and enemies for how many people they have could get a bit messy when you have, you know, 30 people walking in on a boss. I'm sure he's gonna probably one-shot everybody with a single AoE, so yeah, good luck if you try that. Anyway, this is my first shot at a video like this, and I probably rambled the whole time, but I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some insight, and I hope you enjoy Torchlight too if you try it out. Beta's going to be over on Thursday, so chances are, if you haven't played it yet, you probably won't get to until it comes out. But take it from me, it's worth $20. It's definitely worth $20, and if you're a fan of the genre, you'll probably be playing it for a long time. But yeah, see ya!